Yo, 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 yo. What is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, I wanted to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and I think is incredibly impactful when it comes to the overall quality state of the game, not only for new players that are coming in, but especially for those that are looking for something that they can sustainably continue to play and have really good replayability for longer periods of time. And most of the case, in most situations, you're usually going to see this in the early stages of the game, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Kind of inspired a bit to kind of revisit the subject, at least for 2025, where I was reading through chat here on the COD Discord, and the homie PP Killer said, kills me to say that, it says they need to stop creating so many servers, and they'll retain the player base. Uber says, I think COD should cap at 1K server for a while and just expand the dead ones. And so I want to talk a little bit about this and why this is something that is actually so underrated, and how if they did some of these things, and we've made a video on this before, but I want to really dive a little deep in here so that way people who might have not played Kingdom Builders for a while, or maybe if you have, you can understand a little bit more of some of these nuances, but more importantly, the psychology behind why it is important and exactly what, if they did do these things, the game could be in a better state. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us out, because that was not a lot. Thanks. So good job, sweetie. You go and get there. So in order to do this, let's go in game for a minute. And I want to show off, more importantly, let me actually show you off some data here. Now, I did this data here. This was from one of the second to last pull I had got from Fuzzy. Now, usually I get pulls that are pretty recent, and meaning that when I get a pull, it pretty much will show me a lot of the data for the newest kingdoms. And so at the time, for this about 3 months ago, this was about April, and so about 3.5 months ago, you can see here that one of the important bits is if you look at the newer kingdoms. Now keep in mind, there's about 100 more kingdoms out now compared to what it was 3 months ago, and I'll show you a recent one as well. But it goes to show you that when you look at new kingdom population, which is on the Lords column here, the important takeaway here, and this might be small font, but, and again, I'll do my best to kind of read some of these things out. But when you look at this, and you'll see from kingdom like 600 to 635, right? These were arguably some of the newest kingdoms in the game at the time a couple months ago. And what you would normally expect to see is a higher lord count, right? So more players that are on a home kingdom or season 1 kingdom's map. This is indicative of once a new kingdom is released, you're having an influx of players that are coming in. So an example of this, if I go in game and I zoom all the way out, and then I go to, for example, season 1, and I click on 731. This is the newest kingdom at the moment. And you can see here, oh, look at it, you're like a little see-through. That's pretty cool. So you look at 731, right? It's the newest kingdom right now. Now, the newest kingdom is always going to have any of the new downloads, and in most cases, any of the restart players that are going to get populated into the newest kingdom. So like if you just downloaded Call of Dragons, or for the most part, any kingdom builder, you like usually will get populated into the newest kingdom that's out, even if you don't know what the number is, right? When you're starting a new account, you'll figure that out as you go through the tutorial a little bit, then you eventually click on your profile, and you'll see whether it's there or somewhere around it, what kingdom or server you are in. And so because everyone gets populated in there, you would imagine that season 1 kingdoms or home kingdoms are going to have the most amount of average players in them because they're just starting to play the game and they're funneling all those new downloads into the newest kingdom. And so why this is important to also be able to see this indicated on the stat sheet is because you can see here that on average, you're seeing about 1,000 plus players that were getting populated into new kingdoms. However, you saw that over a period of time, as you get to about 628, 627, and then onwards down, now you're just getting under 1,000, you're getting under 900. And keep in mind, the Lords column here indicates and shows you every single player city that is on the map at the time, regardless of power level. I mean, this could be a level 1 account for all intents and purposes. Oh, hang on. You want to go? Okay. Booms. It's okay. What's wrong? Okay, just hang it right here. And so from this, you're having, I gotcha. And so from this, right, the important thing to know is that as kingdoms age, there's a number of things that can happen that will factor into player drop off and why kingdoms are going to end up having lower activity player counts over a period of time. We could probably get into that in a later video, but I just wanted to kind of show you a brief view here. Well, thank you. And so as I go in now, let me do this. So if I show you something, for example, from like a more recent scan, some of the numbers are missing here, but we can look at like 688 as an example. And you can see total lords here from 688, right? These are a little bit lower, right? So these were kingdoms at the time of the pool that were probably deeper in. They were a little bit lower on season 1, right? So they weren't like the freshest, but you had ones that were probably like getting closer to going into season 2, maybe some pre-war kingdoms as well that were kind of prep season 2, and then some older season 1s. And you can see here like some of the numbers are around 700, 600, 500. Now, the reason I bring all of this up, and I mentioned all of this and to show you some stats, along with what we're seeing here from the comments in game, all goes into what I have always felt since my time playing Rock, playing Infinity Kingdom, Lords Mobile, Game of War a little bit back in the day, etc. Is for me, and this is, let me show you something. Oh, I don't know if I could show you this in game. Oh, I think I can. Cool. So, for example, if I go into my Augur Stone within, let me see if I can do that within my home kingdom. Lovely. So, you are going to get a Augur Stone chapter. Usually it's the first one when you go into in the first season. And it's, okay, a bunch of lords have to hit city level 4 by the end of the countdown. The reason why this is important is because this Augur Stone chapter, in my opinion, is something that could be so much better than what it is. And I say that because this Augur Stone chapter, from what I have seen over my years of playing, is that once this is hit, and I should say regardless if it's hit or not, after the kingdom gets to a certain amount of total accounts in the kingdom, which I believe is more of the kind of hard cap that the game goes off of, and then they kind of factor this in as like maybe a secondary cap. That is just kind of my intuition from what I've seen, because I have a character in every kingdom. Like, I like monitoring these things. I like studying these things. And that's kind of my conclusion, right, based on my hypothesis, if you will. Now, regardless of if it's exactly that or not, the overall point is this. Regardless of how many accounts get populated into a new kingdom, the most important thing to take away from is the level that... Don't do that, sweetie. The most important thing is the level of the accounts that they get to. So an example would be, instead of saying let's have 10,000 accounts hit level 4, right? What it should be is let's have 10,000 accounts hit level 11 or hit level 12. Something higher than that. And what the game should do is then create new kingdoms once those have been hit. So if it's 10,000, like I said, 10,000 for 4, that's fine. But what it should be is let's have 10,000 people hit a higher level. Why is this important? One, because the higher the level, the more investment and the more engagement that the player base within the kingdom is hitting. In addition to that, it also means that the players there in the kingdom are more interested in the game. Why? Because they're playing it more to therefore level their accounts up more. And the most important part of this is that once you have more players that are playing the game and engaged, because they're hitting a higher level, and you're going off of having a minimum for this quest, it means that the likelihood, the percentage chance of having better player retention and higher replayability is improved at that point. Meaning that these players are now more likely to continue playing the game because they've played it for longer, they've invested more time, they've leveled up their accounts more. And I'm talking doing all of this before a new kingdom is released. So now some of you might say like, okay, well, 10,000 people hitting like level 9, 10, 11, 12, you know, that may seem like a lot. But the important thing to take away here is that you need to have a certain amount of people that are hitting a high enough level to show you that they have more than just an initial peaking interest in the game. Because hitting level 4, that's all that is. You can hit that, and if you're using speed ups, what, 5-10 minutes, right? I mean, I do it all the time on my scouts, right? I could speed run and hit level 8 or 9 within, you know, if again, if I don't have to go through the tutorial, probably easily 20-30 minutes just off of like the stuff that you get in the beginning of the game. So that's why I say, like, for me, I feel like something around like 11, a level 11, 12, give or take, would be a lot better of a criteria piece, because one, it would fill the kingdom up more. You would have more players before the next new kingdom is coming out, because once the next new kingdom comes out, now all the new downloads and new players are getting populated into that kingdom. And because of this, you can have multiple active alliances, meaning that there's a higher percentage chance they'll last longer. So you're not just going to be stuck potentially with one alliance going into the end of the season or into your upcoming KVKs. One of the things I absolutely loved when I was playing Rock, especially when I was doing jumper projects there, is it, like, no one really had this idea of, like, you didn't have this majority mindset of people saying, oh yeah, we're just going to go into the kingdom with one alliance. Like, we only want there to be one alliance at the end of the day. A lot of healthy and sustainable kingdoms were at least running 2 or more alliances. And for me, I always really enjoyed that. That was something I always loved. Now, again, some games will be different. Some philosophies will be different. It doesn't necessarily mean there's one that I think there's the only one way of doing it over anything else. I just personally like it because I think that the more overall players, the more overall active players you have in a kingdom, and hence the more overall active alliances you have, the better long-term sustainability you have in that, by building a healthier ecosystem and a healthier community, just from like a percentage standpoint, which doesn't mean that you can't get it done with just one. But I've always really believed in that. That's just always been my thought process and kind of how I've approached building kingdoms in my time across 3 games now. And it's something that I love doing. But for all that to say, that to me, I think, again, those people that made the comments on the Discord, I think there is some value there. And the other side of it is we could talk about things like Dead Kingdoms. And again, I think I hope that we'll eventually get Dead Kingdom merging, because we absolutely need to have that happen, especially because Rise of Kingdoms, hang on, Switty, because Rise of Kingdoms has been doing that now, or sorry, they will be doing it, as they announced it a little while ago in one of their recent Q&As, I think a couple ago, where they're going to start looking at identifying kingdoms that would be eligible to start doing pure merges of, like, you took Kingdom 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you combined them, and now that's the new Kingdom 1, as an example. And I definitely think that's something that absolutely needs to happen. It should have already been happening in COD 2 as well. But again, I'd love to hear what you guys think on this. This is just kind of in my general philosophy on kind of what I have concluded it to, with some of the things that I think would be so much better for Kingdoms in Season 1. And I think it would do a lot more, I think it would be so much more beneficial to the health and sustainability of those new kingdoms and players that are coming in. Because when you have a lot more people as well that are playing in your kingdom, there becomes a stronger social aspect to the game, a better social engagement atmosphere. And I just don't think that that can be discounted and not hopefully weighed a little bit heavier on the importance of what players like to be a part of in that kind of a group setting. And, you know, more to me is just better than less. So anyways, I'd love to hear what you guys think on this. Do you feel same? Do you feel similar? Do you have a different approach on maybe how, and if you feel that the new kingdom challenges are really the kind of the area that needs to be improved and adjusted, or is it maybe another area of the game? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later. Say bye. You did it. Yeah. Bye.